I don't want to go there yet. But I'm just going to say, when I watch him, it's hard not to see shades of Josh Allen light. It is August. We are here. Football is back. College football kicks off this month, and the NFL training camp is underway. Pads are on. Players are doing their thing. And you know what? What a better way to welcome in the month of August. Welcome back the NFL and college football. And a freaking mock draft from Kyle Krabs, baby. That's right. Our very own Kyle Krabs dropped his first 2023 mock draft this past Monday. Mock Draft Mondays is back. Stay tuned for that. And what's a mock draft without talking about the offensive skill position players for fantasy football purposes? So every time one of our scouts put out a mock draft, damn it, we gonna talk about it. We're gonna mock the mock. We're gonna talk about the players, the landing spots, and maybe find some hidden gems that isn't on the dynasty community's radar, but we need to be tapped in, we need to be locked in, and we need to be paying attention this fall. So Kyle Krabs, version 1, 2023 mock draft. We're going to dive into it. So strap in. I'm glad you tapped in. Let's talk it out right now. 2023 mock. Let's get it. What's going down, y'all? It's your boy RayG here for the Draft Network. And before we get into this mock draft, I just want to remind everybody that a brand new podcast is coming to the Draft Network podcast feed next week. Myself and Keith Sanchez, one of the scouts here at the Draft Network, aka the Talent Code on Twitter. We've got our brand new podcast dropping next week, Draft Good Players. And this is focused on just that, drafting good players for your dynasty fantasy football rosters. What makes a good player? What makes a good route runner? What makes a successful running back? What are some of the things that Keith looks for? What are some things that I look for when we're evaluating the quarterback position? So make sure you tapped in because it's coming. Now, to the 2023 mock. And we're just going to talk about these players, right? Talk about the fit, talk about the player, what it would mean for super flex or single quarterback, doesn't matter. Player evaluation, fit, what do we think about these for fantasy football? And let's start it off with the first pick, the first offensive skill position player. We've got C.J. Stroud, offensive player for fantasy football, right? C.J. Stroud to the Carolina Panthers at 104. If this is indeed the pick of the Carolina Panthers, C.J. Stroud in a super flex format is locked and loaded, top 3 pick, right up there with a running back. We'll see which one it is. But, you know, him in Carolina with DJ Moore, if Terrace Marshall can get things together this year, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, you know, they did draft Ike Ekwonu last year in the top 10, so the offensive line got bolstered a tad bit, but you bring in C.J. Stroud, he's clearly better than Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold. This would be a thumbs up for all the offensive skill position players for the Carolina Panthers, and it may take Stroud to find his way, right? Rookie quarterback starting out, but over the long haul, this should be very good for DJ Moore. If they're picking at 4, Carolina probably has a new coach, right? And if the new coach comes in, they're going to want to draft their guy. Unfortunately, as much as I like Matt Corral, probably spells the end for him in Dynasty. Now, number 5, I'm loving the pick. Number 5, the New York Giants select Will Levis, the quarterback out of Kentucky. I don't want to go there yet. But I'm just going to say, when I watch him, it's hard not to see shades of Josh Allen light, right? He's got the size, the athleticism, the mobility, the arm strength, everything, all the tools that you want to be this dominant NFL quarterback, the ability to beat you with your arm and utilize those legs. If Will Levis is drafted, he's the second quarterback off of the board, top 5 pick, landing with Brian Daboll and what he did with Josh Allen. You know, he's got Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson. We'll see what happens with Saquon Barkley. I would love this, and I think there's a case to be made. If Will Levis is a top 5 pick, and if he lands in this offense with what we think the Giants are doing, he's putting together a competent team, it would be hard not to say Will Levis 101 in Superflex formats, right? The ability to rush the ball and his ability as a downfield thrower could make for a lethal combination for fantasy football purposes. Now, the Jacksonville Jaguars at pick 6 select the Ohio State wide receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba. A lot of people have JSN as the top-rated wide receiver in this class. That ain't how I have it ranked, but I can see him going as a top 10 pick. Giving Trevor Lawrence another weapon, along with Christian Kirk and everybody else that they have here, I'd be fine with it, right? Like, T-Law needs some help. JSN is definitely going to be valued as a top 5 pick in rookie drafts, and landing with Trevor Lawrence to be the guy and maybe a more explosive offense. T-Law, Travis Etienne could be good for JSN. He probably needs a true alpha. We'll see if JSN will be able to do that. There's some people who are still concerned, just kind of a slot guy. We'll see how JSN does this fall. But JSN to 6, he'd be a top 5 rookie pick for us in Dynasty Fantasy Football. And this is where it gets good, because the Detroit Lions, who have one of the better up-and-coming offensive lines in the NFL, get arguably one of the most efficient and effective quarterbacks from the pocket, and Alabama's Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, Bryce Young. I like everything this young man brings to the table, his mentality, the way he approaches the game, the accuracy. He's got some things. Every one of these quarterbacks have some things that they need to clean up this fall. But Bryce Young, behind that offensive line, with the weapons of Jamison Williams being healthy, Amon-Ra St. Brown's continued maturation, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, my goodness, this just sounds like a team that I want to play with on Madden. And just as much as I talked about Will Levis potentially pushing for the 101 and Superflex formats, you put any one of these quarterbacks in Detroit and the conversation will be that quarterback at the top of a rookie draft. Would love the fit of Bryce Young. But now Kayshon Boutte, Kyle has him going to Houston at pick 15. Boutte, wide receiver out of LSU, kind of been out, last season. The injury was an Achilles, was an ankle. I don't know, but I've seen clips of Boutte on the field playing and healthy. This signals if Houston takes him at pick 15, Davis Mills might be the guy. And if Davis Mills continue to ascend and progress, this could be very good. Kayshon Boutte learning a year from Brandon Cooks before taking over being the guy. You got Nico Collins there, Brevin Jordan. I like this fit for Boutte. I think it wouldn't take long for him probably to establish himself. You can kind of see what happened with Houston in the past, right? When they had Andre Johnson and they still brought in DeAndre Hopkins. So this could be not comparing Brandon Cooks to Andre Johnson, but you get the parallels though, right? The young studded wide receiver waiting in the wings, learning from the veteran. Like the fit Kayshon Boutte in Houston. Now we got another wide receiver off of the board, and some think this guy could be the best wide receiver in the 2023 class. Jordan Addison, the wide receiver from the USC Trojans, going to the Arizona Cardinals. Is this the end of A.J. Green and potentially DeAndre Hopkins? They signed Kyler Murray to a long-term deal. They probably need to get a true alpha out there. Can Jordan Addison be that guy? I don't know. Right now, I've got him projected to be a solid wide receiver too. I don't know about him stepping in and being a 1 for an NFL offense, and that's not a slight to Jordan Addison. I like the player. I think it's a good fit pairing him with Kyler Murray. It would be good for the Arizona Cardinals. It would be good for Jordan Addison. It'd be really good for Kyler Murray more so than anything, but for rookie draft purposes, he would be the clear wide receiver 3 behind Kayshon Boutte and Jackson Smith-Njigba, probably valued as a back half first round pick. But there's a lot of football to be played. This is the first version. We'll see how things shake out. Now, Kyle had Bijan Robinson going to Miami, and this was before we learned that Miami would lose their first round pick. Love the fit. Bijan Robinson in Miami would have been a home run with Mike McDaniel and the running style that he brings from San Francisco. So I'm just going to throw a little change in there. This is not part of Kyle's mock draft, but I'll say a team that's picking 2 picks after Miami or a couple picks after Miami, the Las Vegas Raiders, right? We know that they have not signed Josh Jacobs to a long-term deal. They brought in Zamir White. He's at camp. He's not at camp. I don't really know what's going on with Zamir White. But they would have a need at running back. And if Bijan Robinson were available at pick 21, I just don't see any way that the Raiders would pass on a talent like Bijan Robinson. But I think Bijan Robinson's going to be the only round 1 running back. I love me some Jahmyr Gibbs. We'll see how that season plays out for him at Alabama. But Bijan Robinson, Miami would have been a great fit. I think the Raiders still kind of make some sense. So we'll see how this plays out. Not sure what's going to happen and where Bijan would slot, but a talent like that's not falling out of round 1 of the NFL draft. I'm fairly certain of that. Now, finishing it up, we've got 3 more players that we got to talk about. Michael Mayer, the big tight end out of Notre Dame, going to Minnesota. Irv Smith, hurt his thumb. Should be back by the regular season, but we don't know. Michael Mayer, in my opinion, the best tight end in college football. Plug-and-play guy from day one. Pair him with Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, agent. I know some people like KJ Osborne, but I believe Michael Mayer would assert himself as the number 2 target in that offense sooner rather than later. Biggest shock, biggest surprise was Tanner McKee, the quarterback out of Stanford, 6'6", about 225 pounds, all the arm talent in the world, and Stanford's done a good job over the past couple of years of getting guys shots. Kevin Hogan, we know Andrew Luck, and Davis Mills, if he plays well, can only help the prospectus of Tanner McKee. Going to the Seattle Seahawks at pick 24. this is a guy that is really not on the dynasty community's radar. And let's just say hypothetically this ends up being the pick for Seattle. He's the type of player that would fall to the second round, even in Superflex drafts. And right now, that's just a sentiment. We have not learned from our past mistakes. If the NFL takes him, there's a difference between being taken top 5, top 10, and then the back half of round 1. Tanner McKee, I'm excited to watch the development of this young man, but right now, probably looking like a second-round rookie draft pick for dynasty purposes. But Tanner McKee, a name that we need to continue to watch for and monitor this fall. And the final player, interesting. He's got the Baltimore Ravens selecting the big TCU athlete, Quentin Johnston, wide receiver. Baltimore Ravens adding another pass catcher. They lost Hollywood. Rashad Bateman looks like he's going to be the real damn deal this fall, but they probably still need to find another competent wide receiver. Give Lamar Jackson everything to be successful. I'm going to just be honest with you. I'm going to have a rough time because I love Quentin Johnston. The tape is there. I mean, I just saw a report that he's jumping 46 inches in a vertical jump. 46. What are we doing? That is freakishly athletic, but he plays at TCU. And I've been burned by Josh Doxson. And I've been burned by Jalen Reagor. And I get it. It's lazy. Scout the player, not the helmet. But a lot of people are going to have a difficult time getting the TCU stink off of the player. Quentin Johnston in Sonny Dykes' offense this fall can go ballistic in the Big 12. And if he has a good season, there's no doubt he's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL drafts, which means he should be a first-round pick for us in rookie drafts of our dynasty football leagues. So there is a quick overview of the offensive skill position players from Kyle Crabb's most recently and the first of the 2023 cycle mock draft. Let me know in the comments what fits you like, what fits you don't like, what players are we a little too high on, where should we be more excited about with some other players maybe not mentioned here in round 1. But like I said, every time one of our scouting team members drop a mock, we will look at the offensive skill position players, talking about them from a dynasty fantasy football lens. So make sure you go to thedraftnetwork.com, tap into this article, see who went number 1 overall. I'll kind of surprise you and not bury that. Will Anderson, best player in college football. But I appreciate you tapping in the channel. Hit the thumbs up button, like, and subscribe. We will be back with more content next week. I'm out of this thing. Peace.